guys, it's great to see you again. I'm Miss Joli and I'm your visual artist for this lesson. Today we're going to talk about fairy tales and we're going to illustrate the story Billy Beg. The materials we're going to use today are a piece of paper, pencil, and eraser, and a little box of crayons. My question today is, what is a fairy tale? Okay guys, so we have a fairy tale. Remember what a fairy tale is? A fairy tale? Who knows? It's a children's story about magical and imaginary beings and lands. See, this is the one we have for Cinderella. And I did pull out a couple of the pictures. And here's the one for the girl in the red slipper. I'll just put it here. Cinderella, the girl with the red slipper. And this is Billy Beg. Now remember, in each one of these stories, we have a character, the setting, and the events of the fairy tale. So each one of these pictures tells the events of the fairy tale. Remembering back in these stories, you had your Venn diagram with your teacher. Remember the similarities and the differences? Remember, what do they have in common? The similarities. Well, none of the characters live with their parents. None of the main characters have their parents present. The main characters are identified at the end of the story by the particular shoes they wore. What were the differences? What are the differences between Cinderella, the girl with the red slipper, Rodolphus, and Billy Beg? Remember in Cinderella? Cinderella lives with her stepmother and stepsisters. In the girl with the red slippers, Rodolphus, she was a servant and she lived in her master's house. He's the one that gave her the slippers. And remember in Billy Beg's, Billy, he was a prince, but he left to find his place in the world. And Billy gets help from the bull that left him the gifts, which we're going to discuss again in a minute. And remember, going back to the girl with the red slippers, she really didn't get any help from anyone. She did have pets, friends of hers that were animals, and all of them as well. And all at the end, they all had a particular shoe that they wore. All worked hard for a living and ended up royal at the end. The bull gave him 3 gifts. He gave him a magical tablecloth. And remember, every time he would unfold the tablecloth, he would have, he'd never be hungry. He had food galore. The bull also gave him a stick that if he waved it 3 times in the air, he'd have the strength of 1,000 men. And the bull gave him also a belt that was made out of his grandfather's hide. That means his grandfather's skin, the leather of the bull. And no enemy would be able to defeat him. So we're going to do a picture, and it's going to have the bull and his gifts, and it's going to show us Billy. I'm going to just put this right here, and it's going to show us Billy's shoes at the end. All right, we get our pencil to write your name on the back. Let's see, I'll flip this over. Ms. Joli. And then you have your crayons handy. Everybody has their sheet of paper. We have our name on the back. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to see our paper halfway here. We're going to go on the top half. This would be the half of the sheet. We're going to go towards this side. We're going to make sure we have it landscape style and not portrait style. So this would be a horizontal that goes across. All right, so we have our paper this way, the long way across, also hamburger style. First thing we're going to do is we're going to think of a shape. We're going to think of an oval or almost a round shape. All right, and we're going to put one oval here, and on this side here we're going to do another oval. That's cool. And then I'm going to do another little oval here. All right, that's just going to give me an idea that that's going to be my bull's going to be there. And you're going to draw this kind of light. Make sure you're trying to draw it lightly. And I'm going to put a line coming down here, a line coming down here, a line coming down here. I wonder what that could be. Let's see. What's it look like? What's it look like? That's going to be my bull. I didn't show you a picture. I needed to show you. This actually originated in Ireland. It is an Irish tale. And England and Ireland, England's here, Ireland is here, and Scotland's here. So this was created in Ireland. And in Ireland, they have something called the Pictish art that's actually carved out on stone. It was done by the Celts. All right. And then also, so we're going to think about using something similar to this kind of fashion for our bull, just to let you know. And here's see, doesn't this kind of start to look like a bull? I'm going to show you. So we have that. The next thing we're going to do is a simple one. We know we have 4 legs. This is actually where my legs are going to go. So I'm going to put a line on each side, like a number 11 around it. There we go. That's one leg. Here's another leg. Here's another leg. All right. And let's see, my back leg's going to have a curve coming down this way. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to cut it off there. The back of a cow's foot, or actually all of its feet, it has 2 toes. It has 2 toes. So that's like one little toe, and this is the other little toe kind of peeking through. I want to show you. If you only put one, that will work. Sometimes you don't get to see it. If you only put a little rectangle on the end, that will totally work. But if you want to, you know that that's his little toes. All right. So that's basically my bull's body right there. The next thing I'm going to do is Billy Begg's bull, the old bull that he grew up with. He had horns, so I'm going to go ahead and put horn here, like you're doing an S. And I'm going to go ahead and put an ear, whoop, just like you're almost going to do like a triangle, but I'll just curve it in a little bit. And look, I'm going to do a little zigzag inside. There we go. That's going to be his ear. All right. Now, you did this kind of light when you're doing it, so that's okay. We're going to go ahead and cover and follow the line here. All right. And we're coming down the legs. We're going to go ahead and bring it underneath. That's going to be the underneath of the bull's body. Look, I'm going to go ahead and put, this is going to be where his nose goes. Look, right here, I'm going to do a little, that's his nostril down there, and his mouth goes here. And I'm going to put a line, and that's going to be his eye. Wow. Now, if you want to, you can erase everything else that was right there. You can take your time, but you see how that little oval made my bull? And look, I can go ahead and connect the underneath. That's the back of him, and I can go ahead and bring his head up a little bit more. If you want to go ahead and put him some little hair, so that will totally work. We're going to also do it like a tail. I'm going to go ahead and give him a tail that's whooshing, and watch, I'm going to come down and whoop. Look, I'm going to go a zigzag. I like to do zigzags. That could be my tail. That will work. All right. The next thing we're going to do, our bull here will be in different colors. It said he was kind of speckled, so I'm going to use browns and reds to do my bull. I like to do browns and reds, and speckled means it had dots and spots. So I'm going to go ahead and put some dots and spots on him. If you'd like to go ahead and erase this, you can. So you can erase this part here, but it doesn't matter if it shows inside. The artwork that I have, it shows a little bit through it, but that's fine. So I'm going to put dots and spots. Just make sure when you're pressing down that you don't press down too hard on your artwork. Can you remember what the bull gave Billy Beg? Do you remember the gifts he gave him? I'm going to be coloring the bull throughout this, and I'm going to add a little red inside it just to blend it in with my red, with my brown. And remember, he is speckled, so I'm going to come back and do some little places where I'm going to put a lot of brown. And I'm going to like to put a little bit more colors. You see my legs? I can go ahead and put more brown down here on the bottom towards later as I color out my bull. But his face was white. It didn't say that he had a white face. I actually had a bull that had a white face. I actually had a bull that was solid white. I'm going to have some spots and dots on my bull. I'm going to go ahead and go and start drawing a few of the other things. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and think about, they had rocks there. Okay, let's see. He gave him, I'm going to grab my red so I can do this at one time. I'm going to go ahead and do a little spiral right here and draw a line across here, and I'm going to follow that there. This is going to be the, what do you think Billy Beg received from the bull that could possibly be red? Anybody remember? Does this kind of help you think about it? You could draw all kinds. Traditional tablecloths are basically looking like that. I figured the easiest and fastest for us to do today would be the red and the white one. So that would work. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to think about he also received a stick. I'm going to put a stick coming down here. Oh, that's going to be my stick. Now, sticks can come all different ways. Here's a whole bunch of sticks that you might be able to use. And I'm just drawing my stick here. It's kind of hard to draw it right here. That's going to be my stick. And I'm going to also have another little spiral here. Look, I'm going to go ahead. I love spirals, so I'm going to put some knots in my wood. And I'm going to draw lines coming down. And what color would be? What color? Somebody say it? Browns. And I like to use a little yellow and peach in my woods. I do. I like to mix all kinds of colors together. Besides the wood, he also received something else from the bull. He also received, what else did he receive from the bull? Remember, if he waved that stick up 3 times in the air, he'd be as strong as 1,000 men. He also received a belt that was made from the hide, which means the skin of his grandfather, not the boys, but of the bulls. The grandfather. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's see, I can draw it. Here's going to be my, I'm going to let it wavy line. Y'all remember your wavy line? This is going to be my belt. And at the end of your belt, you might have part for the buckle. Maybe it's on that other side. There we go. And we can color those up in a minute. I know in the very distance, I'm going to just go ahead and give me a little scenery back here. There's going to be my mountain, not mountains, but big area. I just like to break up my scenery. And look, that could be my distance, a little mountains in the distance. I come back and find my brown. And then we can go ahead and trace everything, make it look really cool. See, it did not take us long to draw the stick. Y'all know how to draw sticks. You find sticks all the time. I like to add colors in there, mix them up well. See, I have the buckle here, the belt buckle, and I'm going to do that in just another kind of color. I'm going to think about, I might add a little red in my brown for the belt. I'm going to give my belt a darker look. So I'm going to put red and brown and kind of make it look like mahogany. A little darker, deeper color. See how it makes my brown look darker? Because I don't want both of these items here to be really close to the same color. So I'm going to put a little bit of color in here. I think I'm going to do more peach on that. So see how my two items here, they're both using browns, but the browns are a little different in coloring. So that kind of looks like, that kind of reminds us of those sticks, huh? Kind of reminds us of some of those sticks. Now remember the belt we just put on here? The belt was made from hide of his grandfather, but when he wore it, no enemy would be able to defeat him. All right, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and take my brown. What did Billy have at the end of the story? What did he have at the end of the story that they could tell it was him? Who can remember? Who can tell me? Boots! Yes, yes, boots. So, if you think of boots, you can think of boots being like an L. Let's see if I can find my Billy bag. And I can find his picture. Here we go. Look, he's wearing boots here. See, he's wearing some little boots here. Ooh, okay, so he's wearing some boots. I'm going to go ahead and put a boot this way. My boot actually kind of reminds me of being an L. See, it looks like an L. An L. Backwards L, huh? A backwards L for my Billy bag boots. And I'm going to add a couple of curves in there in yellow. That's for my belt buckles. And I'm going to go ahead and color it in. Does it look like boots? Remember, he left one boot in the barn by the hay. And I'm going to put my underneath side a little darker. I like to add a little black in there. That's going to give it a darker look. All right, so don't forget when you're coloring, you press really light and to color, and then sometimes you can go back and put it a little darker as you're doing it. See how I mix the black with the brown to make it darker underneath as well here. And then this, I might lighten it up a little bit. Well, I'll have yellow in there. Make it look kind of camel skin color. That's cool. And this one might have a little more brown. So here's our bull. I'm going to go ahead and do his feet. We're going to add a little bit in the black. I'll just put a little black on his feet down here. You know, some animals may have it light colored on the bottom. On the toes, it's a two-hooved animal. Our cows, our cattle are two hooves. And then here we go with my like to color them in a little darker. There are little rectangles at the bottom. That's our little toes. Let's see if I like to do a little side. I will color a little light down here, really light. And what you can do, he had a white face, so I'm going to just go ahead and put maybe a little fur coming down. Tougher fur up here. Maybe he has some up here too, because sometimes the bulls have that. Even all the way up to here, sometimes they're a little more hairy. His tail might not be too speckled. All right, and let's see, I'm going to put a little bit on down here on the brown. I'm going to go ahead and come and get that rock here that's holding the gifts that the bull, remember the old bull that was Billy Begg's friend for so long. Let's do a little black here. Remember the stick, he had to wave 3 times, and he had the strength of 1,000 men. The tablecloth, if he unrolled it, it would have food so that he'd never starve. See how it kind of looks like the rock. I'm going to go ahead and add yellows over here on the road. Kind of like sandy road down here. I'll come down through that. You may not finish coloring yours as fast as I will. You can always go back. Don't worry, I will work onto it, over and over and over, and add more and more and more till it kind of seems to come alive. It's one of the phrases I always say to my children, whether they're my own personal children or my classroom children. Let's see, I'm going to do some of the blue in the sky. Green hills. I'm going to just add a little color underneath. How are you doing? Is it coming out awesome? I know my students have awesome work. I hope y'all really had a nice time working with this. I love to sit and color with my students. You learn so much by watching someone else color. So here's our Billy Begg's gifts. The belt that no one could defeat him if he wore. The stick, so he'd have all that strength of 1,000 men. Remember the other fairy tales? Cinderella had her glass slipper. Rodolphus had the little slipper that her master gave her when he noticed her dancing so beautifully. He had to get her those little slippers And then all the other servants were so jealous of her. It's not nice to be jealous. Be happy for them. All right, I'm going to keep going. Let's see, I might put a few blades of grass. He's eating. I might add a little yellow in one of them up here. Little browns. Because in the ground we do see browns. Let's see, he had browns on his legs at the bottom. We can go ahead and trace all his legs now that we know where they are. And you see, those were just some little guidelines I put, and you can go ahead, if you wanted to, you could have erased them, but I went ahead and left them there. And remember the underneath of a pet? Have you ever had a dog or a cat? And have you ever noticed underneath that their coloring is lighter underneath? So he was speckled, but as it gets closer to his tummy, like a lot of other animals, it's going to be lighter. It's going to be lighter. Got his ears on. Oh, I like to use the tip of my horn to be a little darker. I'm going to give him his eye. I don't want him to look mean, but he does kind of look a little bit. Let me get a couple of specks of this color in there. Maybe he had some of those brown spaces, spots down here at the bottom. A few. There we go. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I had a lovely time with you. And this is our Billy Beggs artwork. Take a moment and view your artwork. Take a look at your neighbor's artwork. Notice the similarities and differences in you and your classmates' artwork. Thanks for joining me today. We learned so many things. We learned that Fairytale, it's a children's story about magical and imaginary beings in different places. As you go through your week, notice the different kinds of stories you may hear. Think about your own fairy tale. Think about how your story could be similar or different. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and it's been a pleasure working with you.